just to avoid coming to bases. So that's what it is. We know already to these tricks. There's a football on the other side. Must be a game tonight. Is there a game tonight? Oh, you must be a big fan of United.
Yeah, that's why I'm on Zoom, just so there shouldn't be any chashad.
Split screen.
Chas v'shalom. Right.
Ollie, put on mute. We're in here.
Actually got a very lot to do today. Right. Is everybody okay? Oh, I don't have moving. We've got another minute. Everybody say something interesting. What's news? I think, they started the vaccine today. How many people vaccinated today? Anybody have any clue?
Probably one on TV, and that was it.
They say that second person.
There's a guy in Scotland.
William Shakespeare.
They say she has a week to live.
Why?
Only a week. I thought it was a day now.
I would like to see that tomorrow.
That's so-
91. She's not good at
90.
She might get credit tomorrow.
She's not 91. She's
It means
90.
that we'll be back to square one in another year in lockdown.
Oh,
Top fun Friday.
no, we don't want that to happen.
My friend was the rabbi who was there. Vaccine. And the thing.
Who?
The chaplain of the hospital.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They had a rabbit out to test the vaccine.
Was it? But he said Shechion, but I'm not sure you're like.
You're
Not
joking.
sure you actually said it, or you just with or without Shema Shem.
He said that
Oh, I've got nice halachic shaila. Can you say Shechionu when you get the vaccine?
When you get it, or the.
Oh, so depends. We're going to try to save on the topic.
When you get it already, know it's safe.
What are we going to call the safe?
Well, good to call the safer. We're trying to save Nachas Corona. And then another safer on Brexit.
When Corona actually comes out,
You have to learn to about
or a social shovel. The Satmar, the people, they're very pleased. They're very happy. The vaccine has come out.
Right, okay, we've got a lot to do. We're up to Daf Yud Zayin on Medalef. 5 lines from the top. 3 lines from the top. A couple of introductions and get it clear. It's very, very lot. There's a very lot to do. Right. Okay. Vitala's offered said, which is very kind. Right, thank you very much. Again, we're discussing liquids. We're discussing liquids getting tummy, and we're discussing liquids spreading tummy. We're discussing the two topics. Oh. Can liquids catch tumor? Can liquids spread tumor? We had the machrikas tanoim yesterday, 2 days ago as well, whether liquids can spread tumor. 3-way machrikas. One says always yes, one says always not, and one says food not, kalim yes. Okay. We had the machrikas amoivoyim. Can liquids become tummy in the Beis Hamikdash? Rav and Shmuel. Rav says that liquids can never become tummy in the Beis Hamikdash. No. And Shmuel says that they can become tummy, they can't spread tumor. Second machrikas. And we had a third machloikas. When we say that the liquids of the Beis Hamikdash are not tummy, did we say meis beibit bechaya or mid bechaya? Did we say the waters of the slaughterhouse, which is which kind of liquids? Only blood and water. Or did we say the liquids of the mizbeach, which is blood, water, oil, and wine? Those were the 3 basic arguments we had. Why should it be that that there be no tumor on blood and water and yes tumor on oil and wine? I saw brought down from the Rosh Yosef that blood and water was in abundance in the Beis Hamikdash. Oil and wine was not quite as abundant. The purpose of not creating tumor was in order that tumor shouldn't spread. Perhaps they only did it with blood and water, which was an abundance of, but not by oil and wine. That was the 3 machlokas. Aleph, tanoim, machlokas tanoim, can liquids spread tumor? Base, liquids, that's all liquids, not just the Beis Hamikdash, all liquids. Base, liquids in the Beis Hamikdash, are they toy? Or that means, can they spread tumor? Are they toy completely? That means they can't get tumor, can't spread tumor, or they can get tumor, can't spread tumor. And these liquids of the Beis Hamikdash, are we talking about liquids of the Mizbeach or liquids of the slaughter place? That means, i.e., we're talking about blood and water, or we're talking about also oil and wine. Those were the three arguments. We had Chagai. Chagai, the great Novi Chagai, came to the Kohanim and he asked him a question. And we had the opinion of Rav that they got the answer wrong. Can you imagine they got the answer wrong? How embarrassing. And the question he asked them, we explained yesterday, was Revi Bekodesh. Revi Bekodesh, meaning that somebody had the sheretz, Sar Kodesh, which is the sheretz, and he touched the bread, which touched the cooked food, which touched wine, which touched oil. And he asked them, Tommy or Toy? They said Toy. And the answer should have been Tommy, because Revi Bekodesh is Tommy. And possibly right. And they got it wrong. They got it wrong. And the more asked the question, how could they get it wrong? According to Rav, liquids never become Tommy in the Beis Hamikdash. So how could they get it wrong? The answer is because Rav holds only liquids of the Mizbeach don't become Tommy. But oil and wine can become Tommy. And if you remember, the story was sheretz, bread, cooked food, wine, and oil. So therefore, those can become Tommy. So it wasn't the kasha man. Now the Gemara is going to discuss the machlokes. Did the Kohanim get it right or wrong? You must remember, Chagai asked them two questions. And after he asked them two questions, both times, the first time they said Toy, the second time they said Tommy. And then after that, he makes an announcement regarding what he felt. We're going to have to explain the three pesukim. Gufa, third line from the top of Yudzayin Daled. Rav Omar, Ishtabish Kahani. The Kohanim got it wrong. V'Shmuel Omar, Lo Yishtabish Kahani. The Kohanim did not get it wrong. Rav Omar Ishtabish Kahani, they made a mistake. Revi Bakodesh, now you asked them Revi Bakodesh. Can you have such a thing as Revi Bakodesh? And V'Omulei Toy, and they said Toy, and we know that by Kodesh there's even Revi. V'Shmuel Omar Lo Yishtabish Kahani. They never made a mistake. Chamishi Bakodesh Boiminayu. You asked them a question, Chamishi in Hekdosh. V'Omulei Toy, which is indeed there's no Chamishi in Kodesh. In fact, there's never Chamishi except for one case. When is the Chamishi? By Po Aduma. So one second. Rav said he asked him Revi Bakodesh. It's very good. Why is it very good? Because if you look at, let's count the story in the pasuk. Lechem, bread, with the cooked food, v'yain the shemen. That's exactly 4. Elishmul chamisha minole. Where did he get 5? Shmuel says he asked him Chamishi Bakodesh. Count it out. There's only 4. Answers the Gemara. Miksi v'noga knofoi. That he touched the sheretz. That means if we're talking about direct tumah, the sheretz was avat tumah, and it touched straight away the bread, which touched the cooked food. It should have said v'noga knofoi, the corners touched. It says v'noga b'chnofoi, that which the corner touched. Meaning like this, there was an added stage. The sheretz touched the garment, which touched the bread, which touched the cooked food, which touched the wine, which touched the oil. Now it's chamishi. Go again. Sheretz is avatuma. Touch the clothes is a rishon. Touch the bread is a sheni. Touch the cooked food is a shlishi. Touch the wine is a vi. Touch the oil is a chamishi. So the question is only was it revi or chamishi. According to Rabbi, it was revi and they got it wrong. According to Shmuel, it was chamishi. They got it right because they said Torah. And according to Shmuel, you have to add the clothes because it says v'noga bichnof. Touch something which the clothes touched. Because it's explaining how it happened, Pashtas. That what happened was holding both together. Toshima. By Yomi Chagai asked him the next question. If a person was a Tmei Nefesh, what's a Tmei Nefesh? Somebody who touched a dead body.
If they already answered the first question correctly, why would you bother? Why didn't you ask another one?
I'd understand.
You've already proved that they...
You mean ignorant? I hear it's a nice question, never thought of it. I would assume that you want to broaden their understanding. To show them that there was other things needed to know. If a dead person touched, or a person who touched a dead person touched all of this, hayitmo will become Tommy. They will become Tommy. So this time he asked him the question. Before it was a sheretz, a dead reptile. Now he asked them by Tmei Meis, and this time they got it right, Tommy. So it says, just like here they got it right. It makes sense if they got one answer right, then they got both answers right. It's not likely to get one right, one wrong. So since we know the second pasuk got it right, the first pasuk also. According to Rav, what's the difference? That here they got it wrong, and the first time they didn't get. Sorry, the first time they got it wrong, the second time they didn't get it wrong. Omar Nachman, Omar Rabba Ba'avur, Bekinehim B'tumas Meis, Ein Bekinehim B'tumas Sheretz. The first time he asked about Tumas Sheretz, they were not so aware of it. The second time he asked about Tumas Mes, they were much more aware of it. So the first question, they got it wrong because it's about Tumas Sheretz, and that they got it wrong. The second time he asked them about Tumas Mes, and they got it right. We'll explain a bit more in a minute. The first time he asked them Mevi, and they got it wrong. And the second time he asked them Shlishi, and they got it right. The Pnei Yeshua has got a big avichus. And I was actually interested to read it as well. So I've got Pnei Yeshua. I should read so often to God. The Meister Pnei Yeshua discusses. And the Gemara over here says they got Shlishi right, Revi wrong. Alternatively, they got Tumas Meis right and Tumas Sheretz wrong regarding Revi. The question is why? Why would they be so knowledgeable and yet ignorant in other ways? The Yeshua gives two mahalchim, both very each two mahalchim. But he says like this. Does anybody want to answer why they would get to Revi by Tumas Mes right, but not by Tumas Sheretz, and they'd only get to Revi, not Shlishi, not okay. It's more common. I also thought so. It's more common Tumas Mes, Pashtus. He says a more interesting in Cheshbon. We once learned a concept called Chalal HaKecherem, meaning that a sword gets the same level of Tumah as the dead body. If the sword touches a dead body, it becomes a Bois. If it touches somebody who touched the dead body, it becomes an Av. So therefore, they understood that the idea of Revi is because we want to make sure that people should never make that mistake of thinking that since it's gone down a few times, therefore it is okay. So therefore, by Tumas Meis, there's Chalal HaKecherem. But by Tumas Sheretz, you don't have it. If a sword touches a Sheretz, it does go down more. So therefore, since they thought the whole basis of Revi was only because Chalal HaKecherem, therefore they understood it's only by Tumas Meis and not by Tumas Sheretz. And therefore he says the same thing. Why they only knew Shlish, they knew Shlish not Revi, because they knew that by Chulin you've got a Sheni, so they thought by Hekdesh should add one more. They didn't realize that we had two more that it comes to Revi. That's one interesting malach, he says. One other one, slightly different but similar, is that by a Sheretz, if a person touches the Sheretz, I touch the Sheretz, I become Tommy. If I touch you, what happens? Nothing. Nothing happens. By Tumas Mes, if I touch a dead body and I touch you, you become Tommy. That's the difference in Sheretz and Tumas Meis. So therefore, they thought that Tumas Meis is more chomer than Tumas Sheretz. They didn't understand that it's not like that. It's because by Tumas Meis, it's Abiyah voice. Okay. So the Gemara says like this. He asked them two questions. Question number one was Tumas Sheretz, tumah of a dead reptile. Question number two was a tumah of a dead body. And the Ma'aseh, they got it according to Shmuel right both times. Because the first time they asked them Chamishi, they said Toy. Revi, they said Tomei, which was correct. According to Rav, both times he asked them Revi. The first time they got it wrong, the second time they got it right. The question asked more explains why they got it right the second time, not the first time. Toshima, let's try and prove. We're discussing now, did they get it right or wrong? V'yan Chagai, after he asked the two questions announced. Sorry? V'yan Chagai announced, so the people, Hashem says the people are the same. The simple explanation is that after the second question, which they said, Tomei, Chagai was annoyed with them, and he said, just like you have pronounced Tumah, all of you are Tomei. Shtech, right? Criticism. Now, if they got it wrong, says the Gemara, Bishtem the Rav, according to Rav, they got it wrong the first time. Hanu Dechsev Kain Tomei. That you said you got it wrong. Since you got it wrong, he pronounced about them Tumah. And Shmuel, according to Shmuel, Amai Tomei. Why did he say that Tomei? They got it right. So the Gemara first suggests that Chagai was not criticizing; he was complimenting them. And when he said you are Tomei, he didn't mean to say it, you are Tomei, but are you Tomei? Of course not. You know, sometimes you have a letter, a child sends a letter to his father, send me money, please. He gets all annoyed. Like, send me money. How can you do that? So the wife says, no, you're reading it wrong. Send me money. Like, you have to know the true know how it's said. The same thing over here. It could be that Chagai wasn't criticizing them. He wasn't saying that they are Tomei. He was saying, are they Tomei? So the Gemara says, he was just being surprised. Why should you say the Tomei? Furthermore, he can't say that. That's not the pshat. That he continued and he said, not only are they Tomei, but everything that they do is Tomei, which is clearly a statement that they're getting it all wrong, not that they're getting it right. So the Gemara says, because they did Averas, as if they brought Matumah. So, according to this, both Rav and Shmuel agree that Chagai was upset with them. According to Rav, he was annoyed with them because they got the first question wrong, going to Tumas Sheretz. According to Shmuel, they got the answers both correct. But Chagai said, your behavior is so bad, you've done so many Averos. Rashi says it's referring to the future Averos, that after the story of Hanukkah, unfortunately, Klal Yisrael fell into a civil war, the grandchildren of the Hashmonaim, and therefore their future Averos tell me that your actions are like as if they are Tom. Okay, I don't spend too much about next Gemara. We need to keep cheshbon. It's important to hold cheshbon. You keep hold cheshbon, it's very easy, but if not, it can be complicated. Chagai asked them two questions. According to Rab, they got the first one right. The first one, second one right. According to Shmuel, they got them both right. We said that right at the beginning of this year that what happened was there are three questions regarding Tumas Mashkin. Question number one, can liquids spread Tumah altogether? By all liquids. That's referring to all liquids, not the Beis Hamikdash. Regarding the liquids of the Beis Hamikdash, there are two arguments. Argument number one is, according to Rab, they can never become Tomei. According to Shmuel, they can become Tomei, they can't spread Tumah, the liquids of the Beis Hamikdash. And then another question is the liquids of the Beis Hamikdash, which liquids are we talking about? All liquids, including wine and oil, or just some liquids, only water and blood? Regarding these two last arguments regarding the liquids of the Beis Hamikdash, we now have to reanalyze the questions that Chagai asked. Because in the question that Chagai asked, if you look carefully, what was the question? A sheretz touched a loaf of bread or a piece of clothing that touched a loaf of bread, which touched a cooked food, which touched wine, which touched oil. And the question is the oil a Tomei? Now, everybody can obviously understand, according to Rav, that liquids do not become Tomei. The question has no basis. What would the halacha be according to Rav? What would the halacha be in Chagai's question? What would the halacha be? Toy, of course, toy. Rav holds all liquids can never become Tomei. So if they can never become Tomei, never mind. Again, the sheretz touched a piece of clothing, which touched a loaf of bread, which touched a cooked food, which touched wine, which touched oil. Is the oil Tomei or toy? Of course it's toy. Rav holds come Tomei. And even according to Shmuel, it's a bit problematic. Because what did Shmuel say? That liquids can catch tumah, they can't spread tumah. So now the question was about the oil. Now, if liquids in the Beis Hamikdash can't spread oil, it can't spread tumah, so of course it's fine. So it's a very big question over here. What was Chagai's question according to Shmuel and according to Rav as well? So what the Gemara does is it works through according to the four different shittas we had. We had one machlokas. When we talk about liquids, do we mean all liquids or just water and blood? And when we say that the liquids Beis Hamikdash are toy, do we mean completely toy or just that they can't spread tumah? According to each one of these four opinions, we're going to analyze Chagai's question to understand what did Chagai mean. So we're going to have four mahalchim in the Gemara. What was Chagai's question? What?
No wonder they got it wrong.
No wonder they got it wrong. Let's get the four opinions. Machlokes Rav and Shmuel, do liquids never become Tomei? Or according to Shmuel, they become Tomei, they can't spread Tumah? And when we talk about all liquids or just the liquids of water and blood? Now, according to all four opinions, we're going to have to work out Chagai's question. Let's look more inside. According to Rav, that says what? That liquids can become Tomei. Only water and blood can't become Tomei. Hainu dechsev Tomei. That's why. So I went back. I messed up the wrong. I started the wrong place. Gufa. It's 6 lines from the bottom, from the wide lines. Gufa. Rav learned mashki baby b'chaya, liquids of the slaughterhouse, i.e. water and blood. Levi Tony mashki baby b'chaya, waters of mizbeach, i.e. water, blood, wine, and oil. All of them can become Tomei. The Levi, according to Levi, if it was like Shmuel, that what? The Oma dochim in Tamei Tumas Achayim, that they can't spread Tumah. Avot Tumas Asman yesh lehen, but they can catch Tumah. Nashkachas lo d'logi kula b'rishon. According to Levi, that all liquids in the Beis Hamikdash have this principle that they don't become Tomei. So what was he asking Chagai? We have to say two things to explain Levi. Levi says all liquids have this special rule that they don't get Tomei. So what's Chagai's question? We have to say two things. Statement number one is that he holds like Shmuel, that when we say that the liquids Beis Hamikdash are toy, we mean that they can't spread Tumah, but they can catch Tumah. Statement number two is that Chagai wasn't asking them if the sheretz touched the bread, that touched the cooked food, that touched the oil, that touched the wine, touched the oil. But rather, if the sheretz first touched the bread, then the sheretz touched the cooked food, then the sheretz touched the oil, then the sheretz touched the wine. And therefore, that's what he was asking them. So if you hold both of these statements, we can understand the question now. What was the question? Can a sheretz spread tumah to liquids as well? So therefore, Levi, who holds that all liquids in the base of Mikdash are toy, if he holds like Shmuel, that means toy that can't spread tumah, and he holds that but they can catch tumah, and he holds that Chaggai's question was that the shells actually touch each individual thing, we can understand Chaggai's question. Oh, we'll see. And if he holds like Rav, Doma Dochin Mamish, that it's literally pure, so how was Chaggai's question? Al Kochach Kishmul Svurli. So Levi, who holds that all liquids are under this principle of Tara, must hold like Shmuel. Or the Shmuel, according to the Shmuel, that said what? That liquids can get tummy, but can't spread tumah. It's okay if he holds that the liquids of the slaughterhouse can't spread tumah. That is fine, but liquids of the Mizbeach can. They can spread tumah. That's very. They can't spread tumah. Review the law with chabishi or shlishi of it. Review the law with chabishi. Review can make a chabishi or shlishi of it. Review, but shlishi can make a review. Why? Because if he holds like Rav, the Shmuel says that liquids can't spread tumah. They can't spread tumah. So therefore, what was Chaggai's question? You can't answer like before that he was talking about a situation where the shells touched everything, because Shmuel himself said earlier that he was asking them chamishi, and if the shells touch every individual thing, it's not a chamishi, it's a sheni. So therefore, the Gemara says, according to that, you have to say that Shmuel holds like Rav, that which liquids are torn, only the liquids that get slaughtered, i.e. blood and water, but not liquids of the Mizbeach, meaning oil and wine. There's no going to be a sheni or shlishi either, according to Levi, because Levi holds that liquids can't spread. So if according to Levi, there's never going to be a shlishi in the base of liquids. So you have to hold like Rav. Okay. So worked out. That means Rashi goes through the other two malachim again. Let's go through very quickly. Chagai asked the question of this complicated question: can tumah spread base of Mikdash? So we've got four ways to look at it. According to the man, the Omar, that liquids can never become tumah in the base of Mikdash. We're forced to say that he holds that when we say liquids can't become tumah, it's only the liquids of the Mizbeach. But liquids of the slaughterhouse, but liquids of the Mizbeach can become tummy, and the Chagai was talking about liquids of the Mizbeach, wine and oil. According to the man Doma, that the liquids of that liquids can catch tumah, they can't spread tumah. So then we can say that Chagai was asking the question of a case where each sheretz touched each liquid, and therefore he was asking them to gabe sheni the tumah. According to the man Doma, that all liquids are included in this patur. So therefore, you have to say that he was referring to the case where the tumah went onto each sheretz, and if you say it's only referring to the liquids of the mizbeach, of the slaughterhouse, so he was talking about the liquids of the mizbeach. So you work out if you've got two arguments. One is, can liquids catch? When we say that liquids are toy based mikdash, do we mean toy that they don't spread tumah or toy completely? And which liquids are we talking about? And according to each cheshbon, we have to work out what Chaggai's question was. It says like this: Tanya Kvos to Rav, Tanya Kvos to Levi. When Machlekes Rav and Levi, which liquids are toy in the base of Mikdash? According to Rav, which liquids are toy? Which liquids are toy according to Rav? No, as far as Rav says no. Rav says only water and blood, based with Bechaya, only the slaughterhouse. Levi says all four. So we've got Bryce that says like Rav, only blood and water is toy. We've got Bryce that says like Levi, that all four are toy. It says no. Tanya Kvos to Levi. Hadam, blood, v'hayayin, v'hashemen, v'hamayim, mashke bebit b'chai, sheditu b'fnim. They became tummy inside the base of Mikdash. So what is the halacha according to Levi if these things become tummy? What does Levi hold? It's fine. Very good. It's fine because Levi says all four liquids do not become tummy. So inside the base of Mikdash, imagine you've got a cup of water in the base of Mikdash, became tummy. You say, oh, brilliant, I'm in the base of Mikdash. It's not tummy. And then you went and walked out of the base of Mikdash with them, which, by the way, makes the water possible because any carbon, wine, oil, which goes out of the base of Mikdash is a psul yotze. But now, okay, it's now possible because it's yotze. The question is, does the tumah which originally became tummy, does it now revive itself became Tomei the Beis Hamikdash. But because it was inside the Beis Hamikdash, what did we say? It's not Tomei, it's Beis Hamikdash. And then you took it out. It's possible. Will it become Tomei? That's the question.
Why
So-
would it be? You can't suddenly give it.
Torah, Rabbi says it's
no,
Torah.
why
No, there's a
Very
logic
strange.
that really it is Tomei. Only if the Chachamim said that it's not Tomei while it's in the Beis Hamikdash. You took it out of the Beis Hamikdash, that becomes Tomei. No, again, you talk about, let's say, a cup of blood, and it got touched by a dead body. The dead body touched it. And then we say, okay, the Beis Hamikdash, it will be Torah. And then you took it out, so it's Torah. But Nitru Bachut, let's say a dead person touched it outside the Beis Hamikdash, the blood, which, by the way, is already possible, as you said, and then you brought it into the Beis Hamikdash, to Mehin, it is Tomei. So we see that what? We see that, so the Ik and the Kud that we see from this brisa, by the way, what's the main point of this brisa? That all four liquids are Torah, because it mentions all four, blood, wine, oil, and water, which is like Levi that said all four liquids are Torah. But besides that, the brisa also teaches us that if it became Tomei outside the Beis Hamikdash, and then you brought it into the Beis Hamikdash, so you say, oh, I brought it to Beis Hamikdash, it should come Torah. No. Why? Because when it became Tomei outside Beis Hamikdash. Is that true? The only Torah in its place, which the Gemara understood is only Torah in its place, only it's Torah while it's inside the Beis Hamikdash. But once you take it out of the Beis Hamikdash, it is Tomei. My love, is it not coming to exclude a case where it was Tomei on the inside, took it outside? No. This is coming to exclude a case where it was Tomei on the outside and became Torah in the inside, and he brought it in. He said it's only Torah in this place. It's only Torah if it became Tomei in its place. Let's get it clear. We had Nachik Zav and Levi. Rav says only blood and water is Torah. Levi says all liquids are Torah. This brisa clearly says like Levi, because the brisa is talking about all four liquids. The brisa also teaches us another halacha, that the purity lasts forever, like you said logically. That if something becomes Tomei in the Beis Hamikdash, the purity lasts forever and it goes out of it, even when you take it out. But if something became Tomei on the outside of the Beis Hamikdash, and then afterwards became Tomei when you brought it in, then it became Tomei when you brought it in, it is then it doesn't help you. It doesn't help. That means bringing something into the Beis Hamikdash will not make it Tomei. If it was originally Beis Hamikdash, it is Torah, even if you take it out. That's that. Only because when it became Tomei, it was the Beis Hamikdash. If it became Tomei outside the Beis Hamikdash, and then you brought it in, it stays Tomei. Tanya Kvasidavar. Yeah, I just want to say a small point. We said that the liquids in the Beis Hamikdash are Torah. Why are the liquids in the Beis Hamikdash Torah? Even if a dead person touches them, why? Explain even more. Right. Chazal didn't want to spread tumah. Chazal didn't want to spread tumah in the Beis Hamikdash. It would be very awkward to have tumah in the Beis Hamikdash. Now, if liquids became Tomei min haTorah, would it be logical to say that Chazal made it Torah in the Beis Hamikdash? No. I hope you're happy to that you all agree with that. Yeah, you hear that logic? If liquids are essentially Tomei min haTorah, they're not going to say the Beis Hamikdash it is Torah. If it's Tomei, the Beis Hamikdash is not going to suddenly make it Torah. How can they? It says actually Tomei, the common possible. The answer is like this. If you say like this, min haTorah, all liquids are anyway Torah. All liquids are Torah. Every bit of liquid. If let's say I go to a levai with a cup of water, put the water next to the dead body, min haTorah it is Torah. So for since min haTorah it is Torah, only midrabanan made it Tomei. So Chachamim said, look, we made it Tomei always. But when it comes to the Beis Hamikdash, we don't want a lot of tumah. So therefore, in the Beis Hamikdash, we're going to make it Torah. That's very logical. But if it's genuinely Tomei, we want to make it Tomei Hamikdash. Now, we're going to have a brisa which talks about Rav. That what? What's Rav's chiddush? What's Rav's main point we said before? What's Rav's main point? That we say that the liquids of Beis Hamikdash is Torah. It's limited only to water, blood and water. And then the brisa is going to talk about, but which blood and water? Not all blood and water is Torah. We'll see. Tani Kavos Dura. Hadayim v'amayim, blood and water, mashkebe b'tbechaya, shnitmu, bein bekelim, bein bekarka, whether it's a stream of blood, or whether it's in a cup of blood or cup of water, tahir and Torah. Why are they Torah? Because like Rav said, blood and water is Torah. Top of your Zayin on the base. Shimon says, bekelim tamei, a cup of water will be Tomei. Bekarka tahirin, in the ground will be Torah. So these are a few introductions. That means, we just said a minute ago that liquids are genuinely min haTorah Torah. Only midrabanan they've got tumah. Once they've got tumah, Chazal did not want to spread tumah. So the Beis Hamikdash said they're Torah. Rabbi Shimon disagrees with this principle. I'm jumping a little bit. Rashi says a lot of this already. This is now more explained, but it's good to know already from the beginning. Rabbi Shimon the Maisa, he holds that liquids actually are Tomei min HaTorah. And since they're Tomei min HaTorah, you can't make them Torah in the Beis HaMikdash. Why? Because they're actually Tomei min HaTorah. So therefore, according to Rabbi Shimon, all liquids in the Beis HaMikdash are all Tomei. They're all Tomei. Why? Because he holds that Tomei min HaTorah. Chazal can't uproot something min HaTorah. They're not going to do that. It's only if you hold it some double, and therefore. Actually, if you remember, we had a couple of days ago, Shimon was one who said that liquids are Tomei min HaTorah. We had it clearly. Shimon says that the liquid can't spread Tomei. So the question is, if that's the case, if he holds all liquids are Tomei, why, if it's a stream in the ground, why is it Torah? What difference does it make if it's on the floor in the cup? The answer is that we have a principle that a mikveh cannot become Tomei. A mikveh will never become Tomei. If you put a dead body in a mikveh, the mikveh will still stay Torah. Now, what is the size of a mikveh? What's the minimum size of a mikveh? 40 saw. Why? Because it takes 40 saw for a whole human being to get it. But emes, though, if you want to tovel this cup, let's say this was a metal cup, and they touch a dead body, it needs to be toveled. Oh no, not touch of shells. The touch of shells needs to be toveled. How big do you think you need a mikveh for this cup? How big do you think we'll need it to be? Not 40 saw. A lot less than 40 saw. You'd agree? In fact, the smallest thing that ever needs toveling is what? Is a needle. A needle. You've got a needle which you sew with, and it touched the sherets. It needs toveling. What's the minimum size? Chazal say it's a reverse. The reverse is about 100 millimeters of water, 150 millimeters of water. That's the minimum size of mikveh. So why do we tovel in 150 milliliters of water? For two reasons. First of all, it's very difficult to get your whole body into 150 milliliters of water. And let's say you're not so big, and you don't need 40 salt. Why do you need 40 salt? The answer is that Chachamim decided, let's say, for example, my cup, you tovel your kelim, right? You buy a new metal cup, you tovel it. Where do you go? Do you go to the mikveh? Why do you have to go to the mikveh? Just go outside, put a cup of water, put a cup outside, wait for it to rain, and then dip your needles inside. Why do you have to go to the local mikveh? Oh, very good. The Chachamim decided, midrabanon, not min HaTorah, midrabanon, that everything which is less than 40 saw will not be a mikveh. Min HaTorah, it is a mikveh. Min HaTorah, this is a mikveh, by the way. Min HaTorah, except that I use this hot water from inside, but this is actually a cup of water. If I would have got this water from the rain outside, been raining most of today, if I would have got this cup from outside, I would have min HaTorah a kosher mikveh. A kosher mikveh, can you imagine such a thing? It might be shuvim, so let's say I left it on the floor. Right? 40 saw is for a human being, because a human being needs 40 saw. The problem is that the keli doesn't need 40 saw, but as Moshe said, it's going to get confusing. Some person needs to tovel his Shabbos kettle, he'll need to have 20 saw. Some needs to tovel his Negel Vasa cup, we don't need to tovel Negel Vasa cup. Let's say tovel is a tea cup, we'll use 1 saw. So it's confusing. So Chazal Midrabanan said that unless it's 40 saw, it's not a mikvah. What did you say?
No, so we learn the measurement.
Yeah, learn the measurement. Okay. So it comes out like this. That water on the floor of the Beis HaMikdash, as long as it's a reverse, min HaTorah, will it become Tomei? No. Why not? Because it's a mikvah. It's a mikvah. Midrabanan it's not. So therefore, since it's not got tumah min HaTorah, only tumah midrabanan, not with blood. Okay. So therefore, since min HaTorah, it is a proper mikvah. It's only tumah midrabanan. So therefore, we can understand that in the Beis HaMikdash they made it toy because we don't want to spread tumah. So it comes out like this. Let's get it clear. We'll see. Let's get it clear. We said, according to the Tanna Kama, not Shema, all liquids min HaTorah do not become Tomei. All liquids min HaTorah are toy. Only midrabanan become Tomei. Since it's only midrabanan, came to Beis HaMikdash, made all toy. But Rav Shimon disagrees. He holds that intrinsically liquids become Tomei min HaTorah, and therefore they stay Tomei even in the Beis HaMikdash. Oh, you just said the water on the floor is toy. The answer is because water on the floor is a mikvah. Since it's a mikvah, so therefore it's only Tomei midrabanan. So therefore, it's going to be toy in the Beis HaMikdash. Oh, only works for water. More says that. Oh, my Papa. Now, Papa comes along and books a book spanner in the works. I've got running out of time and thing, but when I say we'll see, not only water, not blood, you'll see it. More says that. So Papa brings a big spanner in the works, and he says, no. Till now, you all agreed with me that the only logic to say that water Beis HaMikdash is toy is like this: that really min HaTorah it is toy. We do our bond, they made it do our bond of tumah. They didn't want to spread tumah in the Beis HaMikdash, so they made it all toy. Comes the Papa says, no, I have a whole different understanding. The min HaTorah liquids is tomei, properly tomei. Only one of the halachas that Hashem taught Moshe Rabbeinu and how Sinai was that in the Beis HaMikdash it is toy. Not like we said that it's to Rabbanon And they said that it's normally Tomei Beis Hamikdash is toy. But rather Hashem himself told Moshe Rabbeinu that liquid Beis Hamikdash is toy. A whole new understanding. Let's see inside. Even if you say that liquids is minat Torah Tomei, mashkin beis bechayav, the liquids that come in the Beis Hamikdash, hilchas gemira, we have a loch of Sinai that they're toy. The Gemara now asks two questions on our papa and rejects our papa, and we do not pass like a papa. Abelazar said you should just know that liquids don't become Tomei minat Torah. Liquids don't become Tomei minat Torah. How do I know that? How does Abelazar know that liquids don't become Tomei minat Torah? Teida, I'll prove it to you. Because my proof is that the liquids in the Beis Hamikdash is toy. Abelazar says like this: all liquids minat Torah or toy. My proof being that all liquids in the Beis Hamikdash are toy. Now, according to you, Papa, that proof has gone out the window. Because according to you, it could be that minat Torah they are tomei, but in the Beis Hamikdash is halacha l'Beis Sinai. It's a not like you. If you say it's halacha l'Beis Sinai, no. How can you learn? How can you say all liquids are toy minat Torah? Because otherwise, how could it be toy in the Beis Hamikdash? I'll tell you, it's not true. Really, the liquids are tomei minat Torah. The reason they're toy in the Beis Hamikdash is because halacha l'Beis Sinai. Elamai, you're wrong. Elamai, really, liquids are toy minat Torah, and they're only tomei midrabanan, and that's when the Beis Hamikdash they're toy. Says I'll bring you another proof. He holds that liquids are tomei minat Torah. The Tanya we learned previously. That if you're not sure if liquid touched something, then even by food we say they're tomei. Why they're tomei? Because tumah is deraisa, sofik deraisa lechumra. Then in the ground the Torah, the kelim the tomei. Meaning like kasha is kasha of meaning like this. That what's the difference between water on the floor and water in the cup? We explained a few minutes ago. Water in the cup is not a mikveh. Water on the floor is a mikveh, and therefore only liquids which are toy minat Torah they can be toy in the Beis Hamikdash. But if you hold like a papa, that was a special halacha l'Beis Sinai. So all the liquids in the Beis Hamikdash should be toy. Elamai, it's not like a papa. So let's get back. So what is the truth? The truth is like this: that liquids minat Torah or toy, minat Torah they're properly toy. It's only midrabanan to become tomei. Since it's only midrabanan, so therefore in the Beis Hamikdash we don't want the bitumas. Therefore they made it takula. Now we have to go back. But Shimon doesn't agree with that. But Shimon himself holds that what that liquids are tomei minat Torah, and therefore in the Beis Hamikdash they're also tomei. The exception being a mikveh in the Beis Hamikdash. Even a mikveh which midrabanan is not a very good mikveh. What's a mikveh which midrabanan is no good? Anything less than 40 saw. So according to Rabbi Shimon, that will be Torah. Everything else will be Tomei. Omar Papa. Omar Papa. As somebody said, Moshe I think said it's only water. Blood not, because blood can't be a mikveh. So blood will always be Tomei in the Beis Hamikdash, because if the tumah is always buying liquids, and therefore even Beis Hamikdash should be Tomei. No, you could have a cup of water. Only if it's the size of this. The chazal has to be machtim with sineros that you can dip inside it needles and pins. So Shimon says it is tomei. So when does Shimon say it's tomei? It's only if it's potential to be a mikveh, i.e., a reverse of water. And as you point out, perhaps more about shu'uvim. We shouldn't discuss that. It has to be water. It has to be reversed. If it's potential mikveh minat Torah, then it's not got tumah minat Torah. It's only tumah d'Rabbanan. So the Beis Hamikdash is toy. But everything else will be tumah in the Beis Hamikdash because Shimon really holds that liquids are tumah. Rabbi Yehuda said that liquids can spread tumah. Till now we've had all the shittas liquids don't spread tumah. This is shittas Rabbi Yehuda that he holds that liquids spread tumah minat Torah. They spread tumah minat Torah. Says the Gemara. Remember the Sava Rabbi Yehuda tumas mashkin and tamen tumas kelim doiraisa. Do you really believe that Rabbi Yehuda holds that liquids can spread tumah minat Torah? Is that so? What now? We've learned in the Mishnah. Kol kelim. Some kelim that you can use it on the inside and on the outside. You can use it upside down, inside the right way, and you can use it the inside, especially if you've got a nice becher. These bechers that have like a stand, turn it upside down. If you want, you can drink from the upside down. So there's some things that can be used the wrong way. So some ones can be used from the inside, and some can be used also from the back, from the outside. So the Mishnah is like this: All kelim that have a spack that can be used, v'toich on the inside, given akol v'aksoses, pillows and blankets, v'sakin and bags, v'malsufin and sacks, nitmo toichoy, nitmo gaboy. If tumah went on the inside, let's say you've got this cup, right? This cup actually has a tiny bit at the bottom of it. Let's say tumah goes on the inside of the cup. This is also tumah. The nitmo gaboy, if only the outside becomes tumah, the nitmo toicha, the inside doesn't become tumah. There's a reasoning for it. The reason is we're talking about like this. We're talking about, we will see, tumah d'Rabbanan. And tumah d'Rabbanan, that's how the maskana of the sugya anyway. The emes, really the logic should be that once one part of the keli is tumah, the whole keli is tumah. That's the logic should be. Only Chachamim wanted people to remember when it's only tumah d'Rabbanan, when it's tumah d'Oraisa. Why would the Chachamim want people to remember when something is only tumah d'Rabbanan? We've actually had it before, had it in Shabbos. Why would the Chachamim want somebody to know that it's tumah d'Rabbanan right at the beginning of Shabbos? The answer is like this: if truma becomes tumah min d'Rabbanan, we do not get rid of it. You can't burn it because min haTorah it's still Torah. You have to wait for it to become properly tumah. If it's tumah min haTorah, you can destroy it. But if it's tumah min d'Rabbanan, you can't. So therefore, they sometimes made a kula by tumah d'Rabbanan just to remind people this is only tumah min d'Rabbanan that people should remember. So therefore, they said that if only the outside became tumah, the inside doesn't become tumah. The Gemara carries on. If it became tummy from a dead reptile, whatever happens, the whole thing becomes tummy, because once part of it becomes tummy, it becomes tummy. If Yehuda holds that liquids have the capabilities of spreading tumah min haTorah, if it became tummy from a liquid, Yehuda holds that it has the ability to spread tumah min haTorah. If it has the ability to spread tumah min haTorah, then of course it will have the ability to spread tumah with Rabbanon. Then they'll have the ability to spread tumah both inside and outside. So why did Rabbi Yehuda say that by liquids it only spreads tumah on the outside, not on the inside? Alamai must be that Rabbi Yehuda holds it doesn't spread tumah min haTorah, only with Rabbanon, and that's why it can't spread tumah. Omar Yehuda, Omar Shmuel Chazar by Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda changed his mind. Originally, Rabbi Yehuda held that liquids can spread tumah, and in this Mishnah we see clearly he retracted his position that liquids do not spread tumah when it touches a keli. And since they don't spread tumah, so therefore when the liquid touches the outside, the inside doesn't become tumah. Ravina Omar, Lo'olam lo yhoda. Maybe Rabbi Yehuda was not chayza. It depends how the liquid became tumah. If the liquid became tumah from a sheretz, from a dead reptile, so that's a real tumah. So that makes the inside of the keli tumah as well. If it became tumah machmas v'yadayim, we learned that midrabbanan, all hands, without any time touching tumah or tummy. All hands with rabbanon or tummy. So what happened was you put your hand into a cup of water. So the water became tummy with rabbanon, and then it touched the cup. So that's a tumah rabbanon. But other liquids which actually get genuinely tumah, for example, a dead reptile touched them, a dead sheretz, then everybody agrees, even Rabbi Yehuda would agree that it spreads tumah. It says, no, Yachi, if that's the truth, had the tummy instead of talk about coming tummy from liquids, talk about the same case. That means if you hold that Rabbi Yehuda holds that liquids can spread tumah, and the only reason why those liquids didn't spread tumah was only because those liquids came from your dime, which is not a genuine tumah, it's only tumah d'Rabbanan. So why did Rabbi Yehuda talk about a difference between liquids and a sheretz? Say within the liquids itself, you can differentiate between liquids that became tummy from a sheretz or liquid that became tummy from the hands. That means the only way to explain this Mishnah is to say that Rabbi Yehuda holds we're talking about liquids that became genuinely tummy, i.e. they became tummy from a dead sheretz. And Afal became Rabbi Yehuda holds that liquids do not have the ability to spread tumah on a keli, and that is why he says like this. If a dead sheretz touches the outside, since a sheretz is d'oraisa, the whole thing becomes tummy. But if the sheretz touch liquids, even though the liquids, it's a d'oraisa dikatin, because we're not talking about tumas yadayim, nevertheless, since we're discussing Tumas Mashkin, and Rabbi Yehuda holds that Tumas Mashkin is not Minator, it's only Midrabanon, so therefore the inside will be Toy. So Rabbi Yehuda was Chayzer, even though he originally said that liquids can spread Tumah to a Keli, he changed his mind, and liquids can only spread Tumah to food, they can't spread Tumah to a Keli. Eboilahu. So Moses says like this. Rabbi Yehuda told us two things. That liquids can spread Tumah to vessels, and they can spread Tumah to food. We proved that Rabbi Yehuda changed his mind regarding the vessels. Did he change his mind completely? Did he change his mind regarding Mikelim? Regarding food, he still holds that they can spread Tumah. Or maybe he holds that they can't change to spread Tumah at all. That means when like this, he originally said that liquids can spread Tumah both to Kalim and to food minatayah. He changed his mind and said they can't spread Tumah to Kalim minatayah. Only midrabanan. The question is, what about food? Tol Shema. Here we've got a few basic introductions we have to get clear. The water that is the water which is a level of Tumah. What level of Tumah does it have? It's avatuma. It's avatuma. So therefore, for example, it can make a human being touch it. If a person touches it, it comes tummy. It can make food tummy. Right. Now, for it to be good aduma water, it has to be shmira. It has to be guarded. If it's not guarded, it's no longer aduma water, and then it's no longer an avatuma. But if it's no longer an avatuma, what can it still be? A vision. How can it be a vision? Let's do like this. Let's say a cow went along and drank the water of the Pora Aduma. Now, an animal while it's alive does not become tummy. It doesn't become tummy. An animal while it's alive doesn't become tummy. You shech the animal, and now it's dead. Dead animals can become tummy. And inside the stomach, you find Pora Aduma water. Now, Pora Aduma water is, what did we just say a minute ago? What is it? Avatuma. So therefore, what should the animal now become? A vision. Only you could argue, when did it become tummy? After its death. But when you shechted it, because while it's alive, it can become tummy. But after its death, it's no longer paraduma water. Why is it no longer paraduma water? Because once it got drunk, you can't use it as paraduma water anymore because it wasn't guarded. Since it wasn't guarded, now it's no longer paraduma water. So therefore, it's for the animal when it become tummy. But maybe yes. How will it become tummy? How will it become tummy? It's no longer paraduma water. But did it touch paraduma water, this paraduma water? Of course it did. Rashi says there's no greater touching than the very fact that this itself was paraduma water. So therefore the paraduma water was an avatuma. It no longer is suitable to be used for paraduma water. Why? Because it got drunk, and once it got drunk, there's no shmira. But therefore it's not an avatuma anymore, but it should be a vishanatuma. So when you shech the cow, what should the cow become? No, not a vision. A sheni. Why should it become a sheni? Think about it. The paraduma water was an avatuma. It got drunk and it's no longer an avatuma water because it can't be used for paraduma. But it touched the paraduma water itself. It itself was paraduma water. So therefore, obviously, it touches itself. Every molecule of water touches another molecule of water, paraduma water. So therefore, it's a vision. Now you shechted the cow. The cow is dead. So it's meat. Meat, when it touches a vision, becomes a sheni. So the meat should become a sheni. Now, if you hold that liquids can't spread tumah, what will the cow be? No, if liquids can't spread tumah, nothing. The cow will be toy. If you hold the liquids can spread tumah, what will the cow be? A sheni. So let's see now from this verse. Toshima. If the cow drank part of water, it is tummy. It's no longer top of it's no longer suitable as paraduma water. If you hold that Rabbi Yehuda holds that liquid can spread tumah to food, how? Why do you say that it's not tummy? Nay, the tumah chamur loimetamu, tumah kalam let it become a sheni. If you hold that liquid can spread tumah according to Rabbi Yehuda, why did Rabbi Yehuda say that paraduma that drank, a cow that drank paraduma water is toy? Why is it toy? It should become a sheni. Why should it become a sheni? The paraduma water then if they drank it, became now something that touched paraduma water. So the cow drank it and then you shecht it, it should become a sheni. As Moses says, My botu me'onami botu to chamor, avu to kamlo betamu. Rabbi Yehuda, when he said that it's not tomei, he meant it's not a vision, it's only a sheni. That's what Rabbi Yehuda meant. Rabbi Yehuda meant it's a sheni. He didn't mean it's not tomei at all. He said it's not tomei, it's not a vision, it's a sheni. Says the Gemara Michlal. I want to get to the one dot because it's a new topic. Does the Tanakama hold that it's actually a vision or besod tomei ketani? Besod tomei means the flesh is tomei, meaning because it's meat, it's tomei. Mashma, if it will touch a human being, it won't be tomei, which means that it's a sheni, not a vision. Answers the Gemara, Kula Rabbi Yehudi, B'chesur Mechser V'achitad. It's all Rabbi Yehuda. This is how you have to read it. Posh Shasa Be'chatos Besod tomei. It's tomei. B'med v'mamum tomei kalo. It's a sheni. Ava tomei chamor loib. It's not a vision. Rabbi Yehuda botu b'me'eo. It's no longer part of water because it is not suitable for sprinkling. Really, Rabbi Yehuda holds that liquid spreads tumah. Your question was, if Rabbi Yehuda holds that liquid spread tumah, why when you shech the cow does it not become a sheni? For a different reason. When does liquid spread tumah? Only if it's suitable for drinking. When it's become muddy, dirty water, it's no longer a liquid. Now, once the cow drank it and went through the digestive system, it's no longer a proper liquid. And that's why it's not tumah. So we've got two mahalchim. Actually, we've got three explanations of Rabbi Yehuda why Rabbi Yehuda says if a cow drinks part of duma water and you shecht it, Rabbi Yehuda holds the cow is not tummy. There are three explanations. Either because the liquids can't spread tumah and therefore the cow is toy because liquids can't spread tumah. Alternatively, the last answer of Avashi, because the liquid does spread tumah, but this is not normal liquid. This is liquid that's gone through the digestive system, so it doesn't spread tumah. Alternatively, it does spread tumah. Rabbi Yehuda meant it's not a tumah chamura. It won't be a vision. It'll only be a sheni because the avatumah it's no longer meichatos. Therefore, it touched the part, but the other water became a vision. Therefore, became a sheni. And that's what these dafim are challenging. We've gone through halfway, more than halfway of this, and it gets much, much easier. Mitzvah Hashem once we get to Kol Shor, but it's okay. Sure.